Creativity is such an important aspect of business. We need to be in a creative mode so much of the time, and yet it's easy to feel a little bit stuck or uninspired. So what I want to share with you in this video is some tips about how to get yourself into creative mode and how to keep flowing with it so that you're not experiencing that awful frustration of just like having that creative block. I think it's important to start by saying that everyone is creative. It's just a question of how you bring yourself to every single act in the day. It could be something as simple as how you stack the dishes after you've washed them or how you clean your teeth. There is a potential to be creative in those moments. If you allow those situations to control you, then you're not being creative. But if you allow yourself to express yourself in some way in those moments, then you are actively in the creative mode. And it's important to understand your particular style of creativity and what gets you going, what inspires you to start creating, what triggers that impulse to follow something through and to explore what it is. So I've worked for a very long time now with the elements. They are far more than inanimate sources of life. They are creative energies that we work with, and we all have a particular leaning. So I spent quite a lot of time mapping the elements to personality types, and they absolutely correlate. So it's actually a very simple way of understanding how you create. But the beauty of the elements is that you're not one element and one element alone. You have to work with all of the elements. Some of them feel easier to work with than others because you have an affinity for a particular one. And that's the one that gets your creativity flowing. So, we have that affinity, we lean into that, and that's what you can use to discover how to get into a creative mode. And when you know and accept your own style, then you begin to open up to creativity. So, for example, maybe you love the details, maybe you love planning, and that's what gets you going. But then in that case, you are likely an earth type. And what you need is to lean into your earth style as it flows through all of the elements, because the elements are a cycle. They're all connected. They all enhance and support each other. So when you're in a creative mode, you need to move through your primary element through the others in this clockwise direction, this clockwise flow that goes earth, air, fire, water. And you need to understand what that looks like when you, as an earth type, a unique earth type, flows through the energy of air or the energy of fire or the energy of water. It has a different characteristic to, say, an air creator flowing through fire, water, and earth. So air is the idea element. It's naturally explorative. Fire is an expressor, an activator. It's an activist, a doer, really. Water is more of the feeler, the connector. So a connector is going to react very differently to ideas than an activist. And often we are a blend because we're moving through a particular stage of life or a particular stage of our creative growth. So we're often a blend of those energies. And so it's the blend that we have that gives us our unique style. And that's what we really want to be working with. So how you create is completely unique to you. So when you're working with others, you need to understand that your style of creativity is actively adding to the blend of creative energies that are available in a team setting, or whether even that's if you're working one-to-one with clients, it is the blend of energies that is helping to activate the creative process. Elements are meant to work together. They're not meant to work in isolation. So do you get stuck moving forwards? Because everyone does. You need to flow with the creative cycle, earth, air, fire, water. And you start, where you are inspired to start. And then you move on to the next element and you cultivate that energy in what you're doing. So if you have an idea that you explore and you're good at exploring, at some point you've got to stop exploring, because otherwise you get stuck in that air energy of continuously exploring. What you need to do with that idea is to test it by speaking to others about it, then leaning into how people react to it, and then you can put the details in place. If you are an activist expresser, a fire type, and doing is your thing, that's where you start. But you move into how it impacts others and learn from that, and then build the details around it. And if you like the details, you're an earth type, you start there, but use those as a launch pad to expand the concept or just build it out and then put it into motion and connect it to people. So you can see that there is a consistent cycle with the energies, but you are starting in a place that makes sense for you and allows your creativity to surge. That flow allows you to build on each step and sets you up for another creative cycle. But very importantly, it means that you don't end up with a cupboard full of unfinished projects or projects that have gone nowhere, because you are moving through the 4 key stages of creativity. And obviously some areas are going to be harder for you than others. It's true for everybody. There is at least one element where it feels less comfortable. And that's often just the exposure to that element. By consciously putting yourself into that energy, it starts to feel easier. And then your particular and unique flow is going to show you who you are, what you can create, and what you're capable of creating. So when you feel stuck, ask yourself where you are in that process, where you are in that cycle, and what comes next. And then you can lean into that energy to allow yourself to keep flowing. I really hope that helps, and gives you some inspiration to work with your creative projects and your creative ideas. If you have any questions, of course, you're very welcome to reach out to me to ask. But please do check the rest of my resources on the elements to keep that exploration going. Until next time, take care. Bye.